Good evening, Facebook. Bethany Sawhill here, back with another tip for you about sleep. It's our evening sleep tip. Um, One of the questions I get a lot is how dark does it really need to be when I sleep? And one of the things I notice most often when I'm working with a family with postpartum doula care or sleep training, one of the things I notice most frequently is that it's just not dark enough. And parents will say, but it's pretty dark in here. I mean, I closed the blinds. Sure, it's in comparison to standing outside in the sun, but let's talk about darkness and why it's really important. If you're here catching the replay, make sure you say replay or drop your favorite emoji so we know you were here. And if you're jumping on live, make sure you say hi. So, darkness, or rather lightness, is measured in a couple of different ways. So we're going to talk about measurements of lux, and lux is the intensity of the light over the surface area that we're talking about. So for example, when it is a moonless night or a new moon and the sky is really clear, the lux is 0.002, really teeny tiny. A full moon at the equator has a lux of 1, still really, really small. Your home during the day with the average number of lights on and the sunlight coming in through the window is about 300 to 500 lux. And if that kind of gives you a gauge for how much darkness we're talking about. For 1 hour before bed, your exposure to light should be less than 180 lux. So definitely much dimmer than your average home in the evenings. So what this means is before you're getting ready for bed, start to dim your lights. If they're not on dimmers, consider investing in small lamps, turning off sources of blue light. We'll get into blue light and good sleep habits for adults in the coming weeks, but I really wanted to highlight why darkness is so important for you and for your baby. So for that hour before bed, you should be at 180 lux or less. And when you're sleeping, you should be at or below 5 lux. It's pretty dark. Remember, that's not much brighter than a full moon and a clear sky. Because light affects your brain like a drug. It's a stimulant. Even though light is not technically a drug, it affects your brain in the same way. And so when light comes in through your optic nerves, it transmits it to a part of the brain in the hypothalamus called the SCN. It's the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Say that 10 times fast. So that group of cells responds to lightness and darkness. And when there's light, your cortisol goes up, which is okay. We usually think of cortisol in really negative terms. It's the stress hormone, the belly fat hormone, and it is, but it's also present in our bodies throughout the day pretty normally. And so lightness causes that SCN to have your cortisol go up and your wakeful responses rise with it. In the darkness, your optic nerve has no light to transmit to the SCN, so your SCN starts to pump out melatonin. And melatonin is that sleep hormone. I will do another video where I come back and tell you all of the critical benefits of melatonin, but for tonight's purpose, you just need to know that melatonin is really freaking important, okay? So you need as much darkness as possible to keep your body pumping that melatonin. If you go to bed in a bright environment, your body can create enough melatonin for you to fall asleep, but it doesn't continue to emit it in enough quantities to stay in a good deep sleep. So we need darkness throughout our night to continue to produce that melatonin. So unnatural light disrupts sleep. Even some forms of natural light disrupt sleep. If you kind of think back to the anthropology and human evolution, we didn't really need to seek out darkness. When the sun set, that created that dimming effect. And once the sun was down and the stars and the moon came out, that was enough, or rather not too much light for our bodies to create and produce and to maintain adequate melatonin levels to sleep through the night. Now, we have the light from the stars and the moon coming in, but we also probably have street lights. A lot of times we have night lights or hallway lights. We have the lights on our clock. We have the lights from our phones. So really, really important to get rid of as much light as possible in your bedroom overnight. And so one of the ways to do that is, and my daughter's standing across the room and she's rolling her eyes so hard. One of the ways that we can promote really good deep sleep and proper sleep hygiene, which means all of the strategies and techniques that you're using to promote the most successful, most restorative sleep. And it's really old-fashioned, y'all. It's a sleep mask. Now, my daughter's rolling her eyes because my preferred sleep mask, this one here in my hand, is contoured, as you can see. This means that it's not going to squish against my eyelashes. I'm not really a claustrophobic person, but when something's rubbing directly on my eyes, it's irritating to me. Also, I find with some of the more flat traditional sleep masks, light still kind of gets in and around the fabric. So this contoured shape, even though it looks like a very small bra for your face, it's really effective. This material is squishy and kind of like a padded bra. And I've never done this on live, so it's going to be... You've never felt it?
You never gave me it. I refuse to hold it.
Her friend has held it and worn it, but she has not. She has a flat one that's all sequined and sparkly. So this is what our family calls the sleep bra, and it's really just a face mask. I've never gone on live with a face mask on. This is really, really awkward. But even though I'm sitting with a bright light in my face and the kitchen lights are on, I can't see a damn thing, y'all. It is pitch black in my world. That's exactly what I want. I want my body to have complete pitch darkness, even if my room is not completely pitch dark, which it's not. We have the light from the monitor. We have a clock light. If my husband, he leaves his phone face up on the nightstand, so if he gets a text or something or an email overnight, that little light blinks. Bethany says our router's in our room and it blinks all night. So yeah, she put a box over it. You can put a box or a sticky note or a piece of tape over those lights, or to make sure you have maximum darkness, sleep mask, right? So, okay, so that is the easiest way to get darkness, promote melatonin for yourself. I was talking to a friend today who said, I'm really working on trying to get better sleep. I'm trying to stick to a similar bedtime. I'm trying to reduce the amount of electronics that I'm using in my room. What else can I do? And I said, sleep mask. I know it sounds trite. I was very anti-sleep mask my whole life. I thought they were restrictive and they felt funny and I just didn't like having something on my face. I would lay down and think, oh, I forgot to take my glasses off. But what I found after 3 or 4 nights, I don't notice this on my face anymore. And not only do I not notice it, I crave it. As soon as I start to climb into bed, like I feel my brain going, get your sleep mask on. It's so dark and beautiful and wonderful. So give yourself a couple of nights to try a sleep mask and see how that goes for you. As far as baby, so if we know we need complete pitch blackness from a sleep mask, how much darkness do our babies need? And the answer is pretty much the same. So a newborn is biologically born with what we call a reverse circadian rhythm. They tend to be most wakeful at night and most asleep during the day. And that's because if you think to how you operate during the day when they're in your womb, you're up and walking around a bunch during the day. And so that kind of lulls them and rocks them to sleep. You lay down and it's like, party time, this is awesome. So when they're born, they're still on that backward schedule. And so in the newborn stage, we really need to keep our babies with a very clear distinction between night and day. During the day, we want as many bright lights, as many curtains open, as much as we can. We want noise, we want animated speaking to our babies. And then when it's nighttime, we want to dim the lights, we want to turn the TV and the radio down, we want to bring our voices way down and really encourage our babies' brains to start to know the difference between daytime wakefulness and nighttime sleepiness. However, once they get to around 6 weeks, they start to become more social, more alert. They go through that big leap or growth spurt at 6 weeks. This is where their circadian rhythm has typically worked itself out. It's on a normal day-night schedule. And so we want to promote good, strong, healthy naps, because the better your baby naps, the better they sleep at night. It sounds very counterintuitive, but sleep begets sleep, if you've ever heard that saying. And so we want nap time brightness, or nap time darkness rather, to be as close to sleeping at night darkness as we can get it. So really, if you think about darkness on a scale of 1 to 10, because I don't have measurements like lux memorized. I have to look at a chart for something like that. But if you think of darkness on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is standing out in the sunlight and 10 is I've got my face bra on. That's upside down. I've got my face bra on. We want it at least at a 7. An 8+ is ideal. So this may mean that you need to invest in blackout curtains. And no, I don't mean just close the blinds, close the shutters, pull the drapes. I mean actual blackout curtains. You can also totally. It's okay. We're going to keep rolling. My daughter is giving me razzes about it. That's all right. It's late. The reason this can be, it's not necessarily critically important starting right at 6 weeks. Our babies will still nap. They'll still be into that rhythm that you're setting them up for. But as they start to, their melatonin levels in their own bodies start to change, then our baby sleep cycles are about 45 minutes. And you're going to see that your baby wakes up around 45 minutes. And let me back that up. So for naps, we want our babies to sleep 2 nap cycles if possible. So really about an hour and a half. Most babies will wake up after the first cycle at around 45 minutes, and they can learn to put themselves back to sleep. We do the same thing. We do it at night. When our sleep cycles end, we wake up. We either turn over, we fluff our pillow, we do whatever, and we go back to sleep. Most of the time, we don't even remember it, but it happens. Our babies can learn to do the same thing. And if the room is really, really dark, they are going to have the physiological cues or the sleep associations to go back to sleep after that first wake up. If your baby is traditionally and typically a 1 sleep cycle sleeper, that's okay. We can talk about that another time. But the idea of keeping it as dark as possible during naps will help them to learn to link those sleep cycles together for naps as well, and get the most restorative sleep so that they can be happy and healthy, and you can be happy and healthy as well. So the too long didn't watch version. Yeah, it needs to be really freaking dark when you sleep. If you have any light emitting in your room, either get rid of it or cover it. If you can't, or you still feel like you just can't get rid of enough light, invest in a really great sleep mask. A contoured sleep mask is helpful. An adjustable, sizable strap is helpful. This one is just like stretchy elastic. You can get a whole bunch of different contraptions. I'll drop the link for this one if anybody is looking. You can get a pack of 2 of these for $10. So it's totally worth the investment. If you hate it after 3 or 4 nights and it's not working for you, you're out $10. If it's working for you, you have restored your sleep in an immense way. So super dark. Yes, it needs to be super dark for baby. Newborns, we want to distinguish night and day. From 6 weeks on, we want it as dark as possible anytime we want them to be sleeping. If you have any questions about darkness, or you have questions about sleep in general, feel free to drop the comments here in the live video. You can also private message the page, or you can email info@phoenixfamilybirth.com. If you have a baby who is 12 weeks plus and you're interested in sleep training and you want your whole family to get better, more restorative, refreshing sleep, go to phoenixfamilybirth.com/sleep-training. You can just go to phoenixfamilybirth.com and navigate yourself there in our services menu. Fill out a form to have a complimentary sleep assessment. You'll jump on the phone with me for about 30 minutes. We will talk about where you're at with sleep and where you really want to be with sleep, and how we can help you close that gap, because sleep is critical and everybody needs it, including your baby. So I will be back to talk with you again soon with another sleep tip. Until then, sleep well, sweet dreams, and happy slumber. Good night.